remember the triumphs and obstacles of the past, because they will make you stronger. Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of the Ronin Leadership Podcast. It's Friday morning here in Las Vegas. Janice and I were just recently on a trip with her folks to visit our grandkids in North Carolina. We had a really great time. Actually, we were able to take our new puppy, Kiku, which means chrysanthemum in Japanese, and she's only a few months old. And we took her out with us for her first plane ride. She did very well, and obviously we were wondering if she was going to be crying or barking on the plane, and she was fine, and she had a good time with the grandkids and the family. She travels well, and it was cool because at the hotel we were staying at, the Umstead Hotel in Cary, North Carolina, where our grandkids live, the hotel is very dog friendly, and so one day we came back from either breakfast or the day, and they had delivered a doggy bed and I guess a couple of doggy serving bowls with doggy crackers, and so that was pretty cool. So Kika was pretty spoiled, but it was good. She traveled well. We had a great time, but I missed a podcast last week, so I thought I'd pop in a quick one today, and I'll probably give you an idea of kind of what I'm thinking about. But before I do that, thanks for all of your continued feedback on our previous podcasts, and we appreciate the feedback, the suggestions for topics and our speakers. We've got some great speakers lined up. I've got some ideas for some other folks that I'd love to get on the podcast, and maybe even some political leaders, but we'll see. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please get a copy of my book, The Art of Ronin Leadership: Strategy, Execution, and Sustained Success. Again, I really appreciate those of you who've bought the book, read the book, and have given me ideas. And one of the ideas that has been sort of consistent is that you love the book in terms of talking about my journey, but also, what Ronin leadership is all about. Now you want to know actually how to get there. What are the steps you as a leader or an aspiring leader have to take to become a Ronin leader? What are the actual tools in the toolkit? And so I've put a couple of chapters together, writing a second book, which will give you those particular tools. What are the things you actually have to do for you as a leader, for your team, for building strategy, for execution, all those kinds of things that we talked about in terms of what got us success at Microsoft or at CIA, that I talk about in my first book. I'm writing the second book now, so hopefully we get the manuscript kind of done, by spring, and hopefully we'll be able to launch the second book by summertime. So that's the goal. So I'm back to writing, which is really exciting. As with any of my podcasts, if you're liking what you hear, please hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about it. You can find all my podcasts on MikeHowardAuthor.com website. But before we start, there's something I want to read to you that I posted on Facebook today, and it got me thinking about the topic for today. I've been a student of Stoicism for several years now. It actually ties very well with my Christian beliefs, the philosophy of Stoicism. And I get this daily Stoicism email. And one came across today that I thought I would read to you because it just struck a chord with me, especially with some things that are happening with people that we know and things are going on in the world. So if you'll indulge me, today's email says, "All the roads we have to walk are winding. Seneca was privileged early, born to a rich and successful family. All was well until illness cut him down, just as his promising career began. It was a long way back. 10 years of convalescence in Egypt, spoiled by the tragic shipwreck that killed his uncle. Then came exile, then Nero, then exile again. The last years of his life were a mad sprint to produce his best philosophical works. Marcus Aurelius lost his father young, only to find two new fathers in Hadrian and Antoninus. He was primed to take the throne, only to then sit in waiting for 23 years. All those years of peace and prosperity disappeared moments after he became emperor. Power brought him plagues and invasions, floods and uprisings. He died likely wondering if he had been a disappointment, not knowing that 2,000 years later, his private philosophical writings would still be changing lives for the better. We could go on for the lives of Musonius Rufus, Rutilius, or Cato, or more of the same, but the point is clear. All the roads we have to walk are winding. Even the lucky among us experience misfortune. Even the greats have to struggle and endure. So what makes you think you deserve an easy path? What makes you think that would even be desirable? It's the winding road that teaches us, that makes us stronger, that helps us become who we were meant to be. You might seem lost right now, but bear with it. You might feel triumphant right now. Well, get ready. There are twists and turns coming, but fear not. They're going to make you great, or rather, they can make you great if you choose. I thought that was really apropos. I'm looking at, today's world, and, as I'm doing this podcast now, there's still concern about Ukraine and possible invasion by Russia. We still have a lot of political discord in this country. You've seen what's happening in Canada, where the truckers are protesting against all the mandates there. There's economic strife. The markets are going up and down, up and down. People are fearful of interest rates going up, and gas prices are going up, inflation. And, so there's a lot of upheaval in terms of our economics. And everywhere you look, there's discord between parents and school districts. We just saw recently where 3 school board members in San Francisco were let go because they, the parents, realized that they had a political agenda and it really wasn't about teaching the kids, and so they were ousted. But you've got that going around the country. And then, on a personal note, we have friends that, good friends of ours that are battling, cancer, battling other health issues, and dealing with their own angst. Janice and I ourselves have gone through, as most of you know, if not all of you, our own situations where we lost our spouses a few years back and that was definitely part of this winding road they talked about that we didn't see it coming. I think my point is that, and I spoke to this yesterday with some folks. I'm going to be doing something probably at the end of the month for an organization I belong to, and it's also in honor of Black History Month. But you'll be talking a lot about journeys and victories, as well as things where the road is windy and it's not linear, and you kind of go off the beaten path because of some issue that happens in your life. You just have to deal with it. But ultimately, there's always hope. And if there's one thing I want this podcast to be about, is it, yes, it's about leadership. But a big part of leadership is providing hope. Hope to your team, or hope to your family if you're in charge of your family in terms of being head of the household, or if you're heading up an organization, if you're a pastor of a church, if you're running a board, or whatever your role is in life where you have to exhibit and perform as a leader. One of the main things that you have to always keep foremost is that idea of hope. And in today's world, it's hard for a lot of people to have hope. There are a lot of pessimistic people. There are a lot of people that are feeling like the best days are not ahead. They're looking at their own personal circumstances, and they're looking at the world around them, and they're not seeing a whole lot of hope. Now, part of that has to do with what you are able to control yourself, and what you're able to, your mindset, right? And that takes time. That takes a lot of time in terms of having that particular mindset where you're going to be able to discipline yourself enough so that whatever comes down the pike in terms of bad circumstances, you'll be able to deal with it adequately. But a lot of it doesn't come organically. And that's, I think, part of the thing about this article, especially when they talk about that it's the winding road that teaches us, that makes us stronger, that helps us become who we were meant to be. And that's truth. The things that come down your way in life, a lot of it may be unfair, but at the end of the day, when you survive it, when you go through the crucible, when you go through the fire, it makes you stronger. And nobody wants those winding roads to take place. Nobody wants those things to happen, but they do. That's the reality of, unfortunately, the world we live in. We wish everything could be just hunky-dory all the time, but that's not reality. So, a couple things here. Number one, deal with the fact that tomorrow is going to bring its own set of issues. Now, tomorrow will also have its own set of joys and happiness and good things happening, as well it should. But but tomorrow will also bring its share of bad news. We're turn on the news, everything's bad, because that's what they get paid to report, is that everything's bad. You never see anybody. You never turn on ABC, CBS, CNN, or Fox News, or whatever, and you get a lot of happy news, right? Because there's a lot of good things going on in the world. You just don't hear about it. So there's going to be bad news. You might be commuting to work. Luckily, we don't have to do that anymore because we're retired, but you might be commuting to work and there's a traffic accident and you're stuck for an hour in traffic, and that's bad. Or you might get a health diagnosis that you weren't expecting, or something at work, that promotion that you were expecting didn't come through, or something, right, is not going right. I think a couple of tools here that you could use to just think about. Number one, know that these things are going to happen. But one of the things you do is also take a step back and say, okay, whatever bad things are going on, what are the good things that are happening? I have friends, I have family, I have food to eat, I have clothes to wear, I have a roof over my head. I'm stuck in traffic, but I have a car to drive. I have money to buy gas in the car. It may cost me more nowadays, but I can afford gasoline. I'm not starving. There's food in the refrigerator. There are little things in life that I personally make sure that when I'm starting to feel like, oh man, all kind of stuff going on, and trying to get starting the temptation for the woe is me. And then you take a look around. You open up your refrigerator and there's food in there. There are people actually starving around the world, and in this country, right? And by God's grace, we're not one of them. And we want to help the people that don't have food to eat, and that's part and parcel of what it's like to be a citizen of this world, is to help others. But there's always things you can find that are good. It's easy to find the bad, so temper that with what's good going on in your life. Okay, that's kind of number one. Now, I think another thing to think about is look back at all the trials that you've gone through in your life. And we've all gone through whatever. I've known any number of people that have gone through cancer and have been successful in beating that disease. Unfortunately, my wife was not one of them that beat that disease, but there were others that we know that have. I've known people that have had financial failures and have been able to get back to financial success. Broken families that have been repaired. Marriages that have survived some trauma in their relationships that they've come through. All of us have different things that have happened in our lives that, unbeknownst to us, has made us stronger. So when confronted with new hardships, you think about what you have accomplished and overcome in your life. That will give you strength as you fight this next battle, right? It's like any army, an inexperienced army, obviously has a lot of angst when they get in the first battle, but as they become battle hardened, battle tested, it's not that they're never afraid. It's not that they don't want to go home and want whatever battle or war they're in to end. But they become smarter and more savvy, and they become more confident because of the battles that they've won. They know they can overcome. They know they can achieve. And so as you're going through your own daily life and you're going through your own daily whatever struggles and things that you're dealing with, remember the triumphs and obstacles of the past, because they will make you stronger. The other thing is what are you feeding your mind, right? What are you feeding your soul on a daily basis? I know people that, have the news on 24/7, right? And it's okay to be informed. Like, I'm not saying don't be informed. I'm a news junkie. I love keeping informed. And I will avail myself of the news just to make sure I'm aware of what's going on and keep informed as a citizen of the United States and citizen of this world. But I don't dwell on it. I don't obsess on it, because if you watch this stuff all the time, it just feeds into that negativity, right? Because that's all you're listening to. There's actually an app called the Good News app, and I would highly recommend it. And it has nothing but positive news, because there's a lot of positive things, as I said, that are going on in the world. You just never hear about it. People helping other people, people who are surviving health issues, financial issues, all these kinds of things. But this Good News app is really cool, and so when you're tempted to dwell on whatever's going on in the major news networks, which is, again, it's always negative, do something positive, right? Read something positive. It doesn't have to be the app, it could be anything. could be the Bible. It could be something on Stoicism. It could be Mad Magazine, which I still get because it makes me laugh, right? Do something that is going to lighten your mood and take your mind away from the bad things going on, and laugh and smile, because those things have a visceral effect on your mood. I think another thing to do is to make sure that, and this is nothing earth-shattering, try to make sure you're doing something physically for yourself on a regular basis, whether it's walking or working out or biking or playing with your new puppy like we do, or whatever your thing is. Get out there and move your body, because I think that the healthier you are, the mind and body are connected, and so mind, body, and soul. And so the more you're able to focus on yourself and your health and your physical fitness, that also helps to deal with whatever stresses are coming on in the world. I think the last thing is just, and I was thinking about this today when I was thinking about this podcast. If I were to go back in time in a time machine and go back 10 years from now, 5 years, 15 years, and put Mike Howard back in the situation he was in, especially like in my Microsoft days, and think about the problems and the worries I had on a Friday morning at Microsoft or a Friday morning at CIA. At that time, those problems were foremost, and something we had to deal with. Either I did myself or as a team. And today, I can't even remember what those problems were, right? And so, what you're facing now, chances are, a few years downrange, you won't even remember, right? So you have to, and that's why I think whether it's the Bible or whether it's Stoicism, the idea of that you concentrate on today and you enjoy today, you enjoy your life today, and not worry so much about tomorrow. Tomorrow's coming anyway, so why dwell on it, right? That just takes away from the joy that you have today. You're not going to walk around, in a field full of flowers every single day, every single minute. You have to deal with the reality of whatever issues and problems that you're dealing with, whether it's business or financial or something going on at the house or health. These are real intangible things. But that doesn't mean that you can't find that joy and live in the now and appreciate what you have, and enjoy what you have. So it's all a matter of focus and perspective. So I think, just like we talked about these great philosophers of the past, when you talk about Stoics and the things that happened to them, but the greatness that they were able to produce through their works, despite what happened to them, or any historical figure of note. That's one of the reasons why I think leaders should always read biographies, because I found biographies to be very inspiring, especially when I was actively involved in leadership, both at CIA and at Microsoft, because it gave me inspiration. Because any biography that you read of great leaders, you'll find that they've all gone through stuff. They all have their own personal angst and worries, but they were able to overcome them and look at the big picture, and also most of them also found the ability to see the good things in life and enjoy what they had. And they were not pessimists. Great leaders are not pessimists, and great leaders do not pass pessimism down to their team. And I've seen that happen. I've seen people in leadership positions who, because of their attitude, it just permeates the entire organization. in terms of negativity, pessimism, and everything is bad in life, and woe is me. And you see leaders implode when bad news happens. They didn't get the budget they wanted, or they've got to eliminate positions due to cost cutting, or whatever the business issue is of the day. They implode and they react negatively, and that permeates to their team, right? Your job is to inspire in spite of what obstacles are in your way. Your job is to motivate in spite of whatever hardships are coming your way. Your job is to provide hope to your team. Even if you inside at times don't feel hopeful, your job is to instill hope in your team. And ultimately, I hope that you remain hopeful no matter what the circumstances are, because you will get through this. So that's kind of the long and short of it, as they say. It just was, listening to the news, reading this article today, just got me thinking that this is something I want to just share with all of you. We're all in this journey together, and we all have our own issues and challenges to deal with. But none of these challenges are insurmountable. There are tools you can use, and I've delineated them, to help you focus and not say that these bad things don't exist. They do. But also understand that there are also a lot of good things happening in the world and in your life. There are also things you can do personally to feed your mind, soul, right? And body, to maximize your ability to A, deal with these challenges, and B, have a great attitude in the midst of these challenges. And then C, if you are in a leadership position, make sure that those positive traits are being exhibited by you, and making sure that you're modeling those kind of behaviors for your team, so your team can see that and gives them hope and inspiration. There's a lot of angst going on in the workforce. They talk about the great resignation. People are not wanting to come back to work for any number of reasons. They enjoyed working from home, having that hybrid kind of lifestyle, the childcare issue, a lot of things. But there's still a lot of angst in the workplace. And your job as a leader is to make sure you're taking care of your troops. And a big part of that is to keep them hopeful, be honest and transparent with whatever issues are coming down the pike, but hopeful, and instill in them the sense that it can be done and that we're going to get through this. And be that calm voice of reason, hope, and inspiration. So there you have it. And I hope that you got something out of this short podcast. Love to hear your thoughts on it. And again, please click the subscribe button if you like what you're hearing. Pick up a copy of my book, The Art of Ronin Leadership. It's out on Amazon. I'm still working on the audio version. It just, it takes time, but I'll get there. And you could also get it from my website, MikeHowardAuthor.com. Hope you all have a great weekend, whenever you listen to this particular podcast. And remember that a big part of Ronin leadership is also about having hope and instilling hope in the people that you lead. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.